Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Afterward, podcast about Aces in a Row. I'm Lucifer Nandies, and
I'm Chris Wardna. Hello.
we're about to review An Affair to Forget, written by Steve Garrett and Mel Scherer, and directed by Jack Winter. Chris probably has some facts coming up about Ben later on, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, I've got a few, actually quite a few fun ones, to be honest.
Good, awesome. We want to know more about these folks. Here's what the episode's about. While Shirley's out of town, Laverne finds herself fending off the advances of her collegiate date, Lyle, and then meets a handsome man named Hank who begins flirting with her. She thinks she's on easy street when Hank asks her out, but it turns out he's also squiring his wife to the same restaurant on the same night. Yep, Laverne finds out he's another married man, and now her trouble's been doubled by the fact that she's just taken a dunk into the drink. Will she get revenge on Hank? Will his wife find out? And will a talk with Carmine solve everything? Meanwhile, Frank takes Carmine and Rhonda to a Dodgers game, and Carmine becomes Frank's surrogate son. What do you think about this one?
For being the premise that it is, I liked it a lot more than I expected. There's a lot of cute stuff in it. Part of it, because I will say, Larry Breeding, who plays Hank, he kind of falls into that same, what was it with the 70s and 80s with the mediocre guy? You know, like that was, you know, that, because I liked him when he was charming, but then, of course, when he reveals himself as this philandering piece of crap, it was like, Yeah.
Well, Gary had a lot of faith in Larry Breeding. This is specifically an episode that was used kind of as a chemistry test between him and Penny.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up bringing him back in season 8. We'll get there when we get to season 8.
Okay.
He'll be a completely different character at that point. But he really believed in Larry Breeding. He tried to build a sitcom around him. That's basically a rewrite of Blansky's Beauties called Who's Minding the Kids. I think it's yes.
Who's Watching the Kids?
Who's Watching the Kids? With a very young Jim Belushi.
Oh, God, that's right. Oh, man, I totally forgot about that part.
But it's basically Blansky's Beauties redone with a little less Vegas glitz, even though we're in Vegas, and more sitcom-y flavor, and him, and Belushi, and some of the showgirls with different names, and Scott Baio. So, Gary really thought he was another person like Eddie Macker who he thought was going to go somewhere and had to have a bigger role in the future.
Then it's like he was able to have some degree of like pop culture, you know, celebrity for a while, but then then everything went very dark and terrible and all of that.
It's sad what happened, yeah.
But anyway, so back on track though. So An Affair to Forget. Yeah, I like the episode. There are some major issues we're gonna have to get into as we go into this sequentially. Yeah. I guess what I mean is I enjoyed it. Do I find it a favorite? No. But I did enjoy it, and I'm going to be very fascinated to go through it bit by bit, because there's a lot of components which I really enjoyed. Even like the waiter at the seafood restaurant is a kick. You know, just his body language, you know. Well, this is another episode, as we mentioned, by Jack Winter, who directed the last episode, the Star Peepers episode, and he really is great, I think, with the guest stars and creating this sort of realized world. I think in the rehearsal, I would not be surprised if that was a rehearsal thing where it's like everybody kind of adds a little something to the sauce, because that's what I kind of get out of this episode, especially with Larry Breeding, with the Angelica Houston playing the wife, and with even the customer with the inflatable turtle. You know, he gets that one line, but oh my God, it kills, and and that's the thing, is it's a, you know, that's what makes it fun, you know, and makes it fun for me to think about, to watch, and etc.
For me, this is another middle grounder. I like a lot of the individual bits, like you said. Angelica Houston is great in this. Larry Breeding manages to make an impression, even though he's playing an a-hole character. We get, you know, some really trenchant stuff about who Laverne is inside. And it's nice to see Carmine kind of in a romantically supportive big brother kind of.
Yeah, I would say it's him being as you're saying, like an older brother sort of archetype, or just like a really good friend. There is, you know, because I know that there are Laverne Mine or Lavmine. That's the ship name. Okay, I was not even in the know of what the ship name was. It was
Lavmine, Carvern, and then there is let me think. I think I tried to launch that somebody tried to launch Carla at one point for them, but I think it was Carver that was the one that ended up working. Go ahead. Please go on.
But
We digress.
yeah.
Yes.
Because as I've said before, I feel like their chemistry sometimes can have a little bit of a spark, but mostly it's almost like you're close enough that you're like family. And this was a really good sign of him being there for her when she needed somebody. It also is a case of it's the right person at the right time. And we'll come back to them when we get to the end of the scene. I want to get when we get to the end of the episode. I don't want to get too far ahead, but there's a warmth there that shows both Penny's acting chops, the depth of Laverne's character, and the depth and quality of Carmine that I felt was I have felt in dire need for seasons and seasons of this show.
There you go. Finally happening. Because we're running out of options, but finally happening.
Yeah.
We got some really nice stuff with Frank and Carmine, and even a little bit of Shirley. Some nice stuff with Shirley that gets thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's wrapped around yet another Laverne Goes Out with the Married Man episode.
Yep.
And we've had so many of these this season. And it's become a running joke to the point where they have to actually address it in the episode. And no. Please stop. And then the near sexual assault with Lyle.
Oh my God, I hated that. It's so bad. And that's
it's not even in character for him for when we see him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even character for him.
Yeah. It's like this is not a guy that like, oh, now he's more confident. It's like confident doesn't mean aggressive rapist piece of shit.
What the hell? My note on this is all Lyle's back. Ew, Lyle's back. Lyle, no.
Yeah, that's pretty much my it says Lyle stop. No, never. No.
Yeah.
And the luring with the food, it just it destroys me. I hate it so much. I hate it. It's fat shamey.
Yeah.
It's terrible. To return once more is about the joke. I mean, it's the only good thing. The only upside is that in looking at this episode and looking up Jim Greenleaf, who plays Lyle, I was able to find a bunch about him. And I don't know if I should. It's a bit heavy, so I should probably save it for later in the episode.
Yeah.
But the dude had an interesting career after this. And his life after this, and at least I sent you a couple things about that, and we'll go into a little more detail about it down the line. So anyway, but that's, as you're saying, like that's the issue I think with this episode. I do agree it's very middle of the road. Like there's not, aside from the final scene with Carmine and Laverne, I don't see anything that's good enough to raise it above. Like that really stellar, like to really get it above that mid tier, that middle of the road. Like it's not what I would
lower
see.
Mid tier for me. I don't want to say that right up front. That's just
because I think is one of the issues that always kind of happens with these types of episodes, and especially when I watched it the second time, because I was pretty checked out when we watched this the first time. I was tired and I was, life stuff was going on, and the second time I then noticed all the clues as to Hank's behavior. About the winks and the answering service and the maid and the perfume for his mother and flirt and the maids wink and it's just he lays it on so thick. What brand of sunglasses and blinders is Laverne wearing?
Yeah, she is in denial land. Whenever she sees a handsome man, everything turns off in her head, and it's unfortunate at this point. Ken, and even back in Milwaukee when she would date idiot jerks like Rusty, she didn't, put the blinders on all the way like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the show is kind of making reverse excuses for their shitty storytelling choices. That's really how it feels to me.
Yeah, no, I hear just I agree. I mean, it feels like they're trying to make create this sort of quote unquote motivation or a reason or a character logic that is to explain why they just needed a situation to happen, 3 seasons ago. And that's it's still horse hockey. That's still horse hockey.
Yeah. It's horse hockey. It's horse hockey, to quote Shirley Feeney. It's very BSy. It reads as very BSy to me. Though parts of this I absolutely can see Laverne as romantic.
Yeah.
To a degree. But she is the adjuster. The show has established she is an adjuster. She's a cynical realist. The show has established this, and then all of a sudden say, oh no, she's a romantic. she's going out with all of these loser guys because she's looking at them and seeing the best in them. It's just not true. She was just horny for all these bad boys. Don't put big airs on it. She was just horny for bad boys. She turned her brain off. She turned her brain on. She realized she should have turned her brain off in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what led her to Jake. That's what leads her to all kinds of guys. That's what lets her go out with married acrobats. And that's what lets her go out with a guy who literally shows up at her door and calls her Ginger Rogers for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That
No,
asking questions.
3
weeks. 3 weeks. Almost a full month. Man alive, it's bad. But I don't, I have a lot of problems with this plot. Is my big issue here.
Yeah. Again, understandable. I think that there's a certain level of detachment I've had with Laverne and Shirley as characters because I've just have gotten so disillusioned with California years. And so I think that's one reason I'm leaning so heavily optimistic on some of these is because of the fact that I'm moving away from what it says about necessarily a character or two of the main cast, even though, for all intents and purposes, I shouldn't be, but it's the only way I will continue watching this or desire to keep watching it.
But you do, I will take any positives you can get out of it, so keep going with that. That's good, that's positive, that's good for you. And I'll just have the opposing point of view. That's normal. Healthy.
Yeah.
I think it's good and healthy and normal. So now we dive into this episode. I will say Shirley's present is adorable here.
Yes.
That's really cute.
The big blue elephant with the red beret.
I love that elephant. It's so cute. I love that Carmine's going to drive her to the bus stop. Going to go see her off. That's really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Laverne's kind of gently shepherding her away. And then Lyle comes in and is rapey for reasons I still don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It is out of character as hell for him after what we saw of him.
I could see him goosing her.
Yeah,
and that's
maybe.
it. I could see him that's the furthest I would go because that'd be the thing. Or the idea of him trying to be sneaky and sneak up on her and trying to sneak up on her to give her a tickle, just something playful would have worked better.
Yeah, even having him poke her on the shoulder and then kiss her.
Yeah,
would have been less horrifying.
Yeah, and
he's literally. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're exactly right, though. He a poke on the shoulder and I was just gonna say a kiss on the cheek, not even on. Yeah. And even that becomes oh God, I'm so sorry, Laverne. And it's I was aiming for the cheek, and it ends up on the lips, that would be something that would feel more in character. Anyway, you were saying, he goes full on though.
Yeah, he goes full on, is what I was about to say. He literally sprawls her on the wrapping table, tries to get on top of her.
Yeah, and even says isn't there a line about don't fight it and it's like
like he is Lenny in Road to Burbank.
Right.
Don't fight it. You're all mine with Ben. Which are still lines that I don't believe would come out of his mouth, but
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
But it's really, really, really hard for me to buy that this is the same dude. I don't enjoy this twist in his character at all. Also, the scene leads nowhere. There's no reason for him to be there. Why is he there?
The only thing I can think is that they either had him for another day, they had him scheduled for another episode, and they wrote his story out, which is possible. There is the possibility that, okay. If I was attempting to be clever, because, just to answer this is answering the question in a conjecture positive idea, to play around with. What if he's on a date with a girl at the seafood place because they make their fat joke about an all-you-can-eat buffet, and he ends up coming to Laverne's rescue and either slugging Hank, throwing him in the pool, or being the one to get her out of the tank.
Yeah, there's so many ways to use him that would be better than this. And they establish he's working at Bardwell's. We never see him again.
Well, I mean, we're not really going to go back to Bardwell's again until season 8, are we?
I'm pretty sure we... I'm trying to remember if there are any episodes where we actually go back to Bardwell's at this point. Now I'm going to look at the episode listing. I actually think you're right that the only time we really see... we just see the girls in their uniforms. We mostly are in their apartments for the rest of the season. So yeah, that's the last time we see Bardwell's until season 8. And then we only see it briefly in Window on Main Street, and then Laverne ends up changing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So
then So that means we had no reason to have Lyle as a rapey piece of shit.
Yeah, there's no reason for this to happen. There's no reason for him to even end up getting a job there. It's nice that she went to the lengths to help him get a job there, but we're establishing something that is never going to be used ever again. It's annoying. It's annoying.
But then we have the good part, the inflatable turtle.
It's adorable.
Do you have any questions, sir? Is this guaranteed to float?
They noticed that he wants to drown his mother-in-law so bad.
Right.
So bad. So bad he wants this woman to die.
So I want to mention this actor, the customer with the inflatable turtle.
Yes,
this actor is Robert Walden. Now,
yeah.
the fact that someone got him into this at all is hilarious. He was already one of the main cast members of Lou Grant at this point. He played Joe Rossi.
Oh.
He was already a longtime character actor, and a funny thing to mention is this guy is in two great late 70s thrillers. He is in Peter Hyams' directorial debut Capricorn 1, and he's in the Jeff Lieberman cult classic Blue Sunshine.
Oh. Okay, I did not know that. I did not know that at all.
He had also done a Columbo, Police Story, Rockford Files, and he, even was in Bloody Mama, the Corman film in 1970.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's even still working today in a 2020 feature called Surviving in LA, which I think is a drama, or a dramedy. He even directed a few episodes of the show Brothers and directed a Silk Stocking episodes. So
Silk Stockings, interesting.
So anyway, point is though, it's like this little mixture, like the things you just don't expect when you're doing notes for a show like Laverne and Shirley, a late 70s to early 80s sitcom, and be like, okay, I didn't expect that. So anyway, Laverne, why can you not empty this turtle of air? Do you not see that the hole is not open, honey? Honey, no.
I know the hole is closed, the hole is plugged, and she's straddling and jumping in bed. That's just blatant guy bait. We're just trying to keep those eyes on the girls until Charlie's Angels comes on later in the night. Because, geez, what is this happening other than to make the audience who... You notice that the girls get kind of happy days like reactions here as they enter. And that's a rarity. You don't really hear that happen in Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, the audience goes pretty nuts for them here, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Even the boys really get that kind of reaction when they come in. I think that this might be because all those kids who were screaming every time the Fonz came in during those Happy Days babies were kids. The instinct was to applaud every time they saw an actor they liked. And because we're holding the audience to everybody 16 and up, you get slightly more mature reactions and slightly hornier reactions from out of your audience.
Right.
But this is a rare episode of Laverne and Shirley where everybody is reacting to cast like they just escaped this taping from Happy Days. It really is.
You even can almost hear a kid's laughter in the laugh track for this, to be honest.
Interesting. I did not notice that. Cindy and Penny both get wild applause, and so does I think does Eddie Mecca. Unless I'm completely bananas. Yes, he does.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Good.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, so then then there's the line to make this innuendo laden moment with the turtle. I like to break them in bareback. Just there you go. I think I'll turn him out to stud.
Oh,
wow!
The glorious filth. Glorious filth.
And I love that this is also one of the first times we've ever had the guy that she's talking to and is flirting with her try to guess her name from the L on her the monogrammed L.
Yeah,
that was very cute.
That's adorable. That's cute. That was adorable. And her trying to guess his name, and too bad he ends up being a dick. But
yep,
it is
naughty on the Nile perfume. By the way, should I get that for you for next Valentine's Day? Okay.
No, because I'm allergic to perfumes.
Oh, good.
Seriously.
No. That's good. That works perfect for me because I'm an asthmatic. I can't stand perfume. So great. That works.
What I wear is those really natural scents from Demeter that smells like apple pie or like blueberry or like chocolate or chocolate pudding or ice cream. That's what I wear. I have Posset's perfume, Pippin perfume, which just makes you smell like apple pie. So I have that. So that's kind of stuff. BS. No naughty on the Nile for me. Anyway. So yeah, we end up sitting there watching them banter back and forth. This is very cute. I think this is because at this point, Penny and Larry were dating in real life. I know by the time he ends up on the show in season 8, they were actually dating. They're starting in the process to date, and that unfortunately did not last long. We'll get there in a while.
In any case, so we have all this introduction, getting them into each other. He even gives her the perfume, but it's still a bit yikes. Very clearly yikes. And then we have and we even get to have, this whole, as we then go into the next scene, and Pop wants Laverne to go, and then the guy is there, and he even meets her dad and one of her best friends and her neighbor.
Yes.
And it's an interesting, like, I kind of wish that one of that group had looked at the guy, looked at Laverne, looked at the guy, looked at Laverne, and been trying to warn her before, like, sort of making implications, like, or having to make implications around him. And he just smiles smugly, like he knows and he doesn't care, and he thinks Laverne's into it.
Yeah.
So
that would have been interesting. That would have been very, very interesting. Unfortunately, we do not do that.
We don't, because that's the thing, is that, because you and I both have known people that have cheated on their persons or been involved with folks they really shouldn't have been.
Yep.
And we've all had we've had those incidences where it's like we're trying to, like, warn them or check in with them, like, blink twice if you're okay, blink once if you're not. Yeah.
Sometimes it is like battling for with the devil for someone's soul.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really is. And I tell you, that devil is a hell of a boxer.
Oh yeah. I was going to say it would have been so interesting to have Shirley's perspective here.
Yes.
On this guy, because I feel like Shirley would have pegged him immediately and said, this guy, there's something wrong about this guy, there's something off about this guy, and Laverne would have ignored it. And then Shirley could have been there, and Laverne fell into the drink. But because the girls wanted separate time, and because the girls didn't want to be on screen at that moment, we get an episode where Shirley does a wraparound. Cindy does a wraparound, and instead Laverne goes it alone and has to lean on Carmine after she's surfaced from El Drinko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love the bonding going on between Carmine and Frank. I think that's cute.
It is so cute. My note is, but then Carmine wanted to be a DeFazio. It's so cute. And it's like, yeah, your sister got something to tell you. Oh, man.
I got 3 tickets and 2 people.
Oh, man. And oh, by the way, I have to say that whole the pet name thing of where Laverne gets the phone. Oh yeah, Pookie Bear is here. Do you want to talk to Angel Face? And
yeah.
And then how he goes crying to Frank. It's like, Dad, can you tell Laverne to stop picking on me?
Yeah. And then he goes upstairs to go talk to Shirley in private, and Laverne has to hang up downstairs. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it's very cute, and a detail which people who don't have landlines in this day and age aren't going to know the horrors that we do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We also know the horrors of dial-up internet, where if somebody hung up the phone, you'd lose their connection.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But, and then Rhonda with the trumpet and can entertain between innings. Leslie has been killing it this season, and she's so cute here. Oh, my God, I love
adorable hair. I love that she shows up in that full dress, just ready to go out and be fancy at the ball game. I think it's really sweet. And very Rhonda, because Rhonda won't go anywhere without being super glamorous. I thought it was a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, Frank's like, everybody's looking him up and down. Everybody thinks that, this new guy in Laverne's life might be it, but maybe not, so they're staying a little bit reserved.
Yep.
So we go to Captain Kids, which is basically the fancy version of Moby Dominic's.
Yeah.
But there is a wet t-shirt contest, kind of, if you really think about it. And then think about how far Laverne has come here. She went from rejecting brains in season 2 to luxuriating and sucking down snails.
Yeah. Although the squid was a line. She drew the line at squid. So.
Yeah. But why would she not know about raw bar squid? She's Italian. She would have known what a Carol Lamari is.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So it's weird.
But yeah, and then he did the little wiggle as she goes. Is very cute. I love that even the waiter is offended by the way he just feeds her that squid the way he does.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And he, again, the waiter has a great line: upstairs to the right. He doesn't even have to have the question. Just he knows.
Yep. I feel like this waiter has watched this man philander his way through multiple women at this point.
I suspect so. Either that or this is like girl number 3 at this point, and he's beginning to like
Yep.
pick up on it. It's like, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, this actor, the waiter Blackbeard, this is Michael Principe. This is the only time this guy acted on camera, but he ended up amazingly becoming a camera operator and director of photography for non-narrative unscripted TV, including 6 episodes of Cops, which, by the way, ACAB, and 24 episodes of Girls Gone Fishing, and even some America's Most Wanted episodes. But very interesting. His credits end around 2007, but it's just, again, just weird thing, and, you know, he's right there.
Very intriguing. That's very interesting.
Okay.
It's funny
Go ahead.
where and how people's career paths take them after they've been on Laverne and Shirley. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, but it is. It's there are connections that you just don't expect as you move around in and out of these different places. I guess it goes to show that, you know, there's no one life path that stays the same. You know, people's directions do change.
Yeah.
Speaking of changing directions, I need to change direction to the gargantuan elephant in the room here, and this will probably need to be bleeped. Why the fuck is this guy cheating on Angelica Houston? How dare this dumb fuck cheat on Angelica fucking Houston? What the fuck is wrong with you, Hank? What the hell is wrong with you, you piece of trash?
Amazing. Yeah, he's garbage. We know he's garbage just for that reason alone. That's just garbage shit. We instantly sympathize with the character that Angelica Houston is playing here because she seems nice and she is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that she to a degree knows what's up at this point. Once she finds out what's up, she is willing to kick his ass to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
So he immediately, realizes he's double parked, so to speak, romantically. Says about getting rid of Laverne so he could not get in trouble with his wife because he's a moron. She's trying very hard, Angelica Houston. But yeah, don't fuck around in Morticia Adams. He's about to learn why.
Oh yeah.
So in his desperation, he shoves Laverne into the tank, which is probably the worst thing he can do because the tank's right in front of their seats. So of course you can claim direct revenge on him from there.
Oh, totally.
Great.
My mother started howling with laughter at that bit, by the way.
Yeah.
She adored that whole thing of Laverne being able to get vengeance from Fish Tank.
Yes. Right on the glass. It's so good. The arrow pointing.
Mm-hmm.
The lipstick. The audience was very approving of this. The audience is so here for it. The audience wanted to see this guy suffer.
Exactly. It's like, oh, look, honey, she's writing something. It's like, rat. It's like, no, there must be a rat in the kitchen. Huh. I love that even the people in the restaurant are cheering for her, and my mother commented again. She danced like a mermaid and doing the flip and all that. And
yeah. This would actually be a better job for her than at Bardwell's. She should really pursue this, to be honest.
Totally. I mean, think about how she just quickly got the scuba gear, started using it so she could breathe down there, and then got to it. You know, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's very fitting. Yeah, not to mention being leggy as she is perfect for that job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying. By the way, I'm not saying that just from a she's sexy perspective, but also the fact that you need a lot of lower body strength for swimming. So
yes, and to make a mermaid tail look like a mermaid tail. You gotta. It requires you positioning your legs a certain way.
Yep. A lot in good core strength, I assume.
Oh yeah. Oy, mate.
But I cannot believe that, you know, all of this, you know, we do this back and forth. I mean, this is a pretty simple gag. It's a back and forth gag, you know, and et cetera, and her getting caught in the clamshell and little gags of the curlers falling out and all that.
Yeah.
She covers for him anyway.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why? But
at least there's that extra again. The graying hair guy with the thick bushy eyebrows. Future me put a picture of that guy.
Yeah. Isn't he cool? Multiple times in the background at Colorway Bills and multiple times in the background at Small, I do believe.
Yeah.
So,
he is all over the place. He's in The Mortician. Yes. He's in Separate Tables.
Yes.
Yeah. He's.
Yes. One of our famous Marshall verse extras.
Yep.
Always good to see him. So she comes, but his ass goes in the drink.
That is true.
His ass does go into the drink, and I get the feeling that she's not gonna be putting up with this shit anymore.
Yep.
To be frank. Get him, Angelica Houston. Get him! Drown him!
Don't just drown him. Put the clamshell over the neck
Ooh.
so that he gets to feel the struggle, which that struggle of being caught like that is going to make him lose air faster. And he's going to get to feel the panic, every breath leaving him and every droplet filling his lungs.
Oh, vicious. Vicious.
Sorry, was that too dark? Did I get too dark?
Well, maybe, but he deserves it.
we'll cut that out if
Fuck you,
necessary.
Hank! Okay, so they try so very hard to make this make retroactive sense as Laverne comes in soaking wet, getting a towel for herself, trying to squash along on the floor, not get water everywhere, and soak the couch. And there's Carmine to kind of pick up her pieces. This is really sweet.
It is very sweet. He's very sweet, even though I agree with what you're saying, that the element, it's not integrated well to her being an adjuster. I think you can have her being an adjuster, pessimist, and a romantic, where she wants to be the romantic, but all of these experiences have made her bitter, like since childhood.
Yeah.
Totally can make that work. But it feels, as you're saying, kind of almost like a rewrite, like it's overwriting what we know about her. And that it also creates this easy... It's one of those, I like the message of the point of they're trying to get at. Like, it doesn't mean that every tree has worms, and she'd rather trust than be hateful or sad, because that would just make her sad all the time. And, that line, if I'm looking for lies all the time, how am I ever going to hear the truth? Those are great lines. Yeah. But I agree with what you're saying, that there are missing components to make this work.
The problem is, like I said, once again, she's out with getting another married guy. And they're trying to say that, she'd just rather jump into everything with her arms wide open in a zen-like way. Just embrace whatever comes to her, because if she doesn't go out with every single opportunity, Mr. Right will walk past her. And that drives me nuts, because if you go out with every single person you think is cute, or every single person who says hello to you or is available to you, you're going to put yourself in so much danger. So much danger. A pretty face does not necessarily mean a healthy person who will be good for you in your life.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And Laverne has experienced this multiple times at this point. She was involved in armed robbery because she thought Jake the Snake was handsome. And he made out really good. And it shows that she hasn't learned anything all this time. Even though she's been repeatedly taught lessons about not bending herself into another person. At least this time, she's not pretzeling herself.
Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah. There's a good news, bad news here.
Yeah. The good news is that she's not trying to transform herself into somebody else. The bad news is that she's just throwing herself at every single guy because she's afraid Mr. Right isn't gonna come to her if she doesn't try every single person available to her. Which is terrible, if you really think.
Mm-hmm.
Laverne is, she's trying to make this make sense. Carmine does a good job, trying to comfort her through it.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to be supportive at least. I loved the Milwaukee anecdote at least, was an idea that, with the store owner being stingy.
Oh.
Always keeping his eye out, always being suspect.
Yep.
But the trouble is, you've got to be at least a little bit like the a-hole storekeeper, in that you should look out, don't presume that everybody's trying to steal from you, but also be just self-aware enough not to end up with a dangerous criminal.
Yeah.
Just self-aware enough not to avoid that fate. At this point, Laverne has not succeeded at that.
Right. And that's been a recurring issue, I think, with the show, is that it has a very binary perspective to these conundrums, when these are issues, as we've discussed multiple times on this podcast, are nuanced situations. Because if you are completely without discernment, then you're asking, not only are you asking for trouble, that is going to be very unhealthy for you and the people that are around you. And and also, it's like one of those word to the listeners, a reminder to the listeners. Part of that discernment is also about valuing yourself and being there for you, to watch out for you. we're not saying this because we're annoyed that like in this case, like Laverne, we're not just like, oh, this isn't what we want this character to do. It's also about empathically trying to feel that this character is real and that we want what's good for them to succeed. And this is because clearly what they're living, the life they're living and the path they're taking is making them miserable and isn't working.
Yeah.
And that's the catch, is that the pivot, or the I need to explain why this is happening sort of thing, the logical reasoning of this, is coming off in a way that is moving towards degrees of maturity, but is lacking rather obvious nuance that would make it more balanced, more not just more realistic, more natural from a writing perspective, but also just a healthier reminder that she does need to be, don't be the store guy all the time, but learn the lesson of that, a little bit of paranoia, a little bit of pessimism, a little bit of distrust.
There's just, I think, like Laverne had discernment before this, is the thing. Mm-hmm. She's canonically had some form of discernment. She's always like bad boy types. But she's also been able to say no to certain guys. She was initially curious about Biff and willing to go out with him until she found out he was a rapist pig.
Mm-hmm.
She does see some men and go, no, no, no. Even to Lenny, to a certain degree, she tells herself no. She tells him no because she's not attracted to him, unquote unquote.
Another example I can think of, because I was reminded of this episode earlier today, is Steppin' Out. If I recall, the punchline at the end of Steppin' Out is the two guys they were working like hell to get ready for, they ended up not clicking with.
Yep, exactly. What jerks.
Yeah,
I remember
jerks.
that one.
Yeah, and it's and that's the thing of like they both figured it out. They both figured out, this ain't working. Whereas the cops, the vice cops in Playing Hooky, it's a bit rough, because there's a pretty bad misunderstanding. But then, they kind of work it out and they have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And there are some people that it's just like a one-night thing. Some people it's just a one-date thing.
Yep.
Like, just the notion that Laverne has to throw herself at everybody. Every single person is a chance. Every single person is a chance. That's a fantastically nice idea, but also a fantastically dangerous idea.
It is. It also, to me, says a lot about the way that she reviews relationships in a very negative way, because it creates this expectation that it's almost like a version of like what Shirley would go through, where she was creating this fantasy about, Todd, little Toddy boy, and having to create the whole, everything coming together just right. And it's like, now this is Laverne's own version of that, which again comes back to, as you're saying, if this is the route they really wanted to take in the writer's room, this is a scene that then needs to happen with Shirley, that they both have a very real second half of the episode conversation about.
Yeah. Honestly, this episode, the conversation should have been Laverne Shirley and not Laverne and Carmine. But, we gotta settle with what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted to get back to, in terms of notes, I'm curious about the this is another case with this episode talking about the script, right? For the writing, the characters and stuff like that. I'm really curious who all was working with these two writers on it, because Steve and Mel, I'm going to call them Steve and Mel because their last names are just hard enough. I don't want to be offensive if I can help it here. So Steve and Mel, I think this is their only credited episode for Laverne and Shirley. They may have had a little bit of writer's room credit. They ended up actually going on to different things. For instance, they worked on some of the same scripts for like Happy Days and Johnny Loves Chachi as a partnership, but then they kind of split off. And there's some interesting landmarks that happen along the way. Mel Scherer ends up going to work on the Mr. Bill's Real Life Adventures short in 1986. His career ends up going into dozens of script consulting spots for like Valerie from 1991, story editing on Sam Wonder. Actually, I think that's a typo that I have here. Small Wonder in the late 80s.
I'm going to think of it as that now. Small Wonder, yeah. Small Wonder I like that one.
And concluding with 1996 with an episode of The Mouse and the Monster. Now he passed away in 2021, but he was 75. Dude had a long run, so he'd been on this planet for quite a while. So that just is kind of interesting. This is somebody who sort of supported writers' rooms, not necessarily always getting like the writer credit per se. And then Steve ends up having, this is his first credited piece, and then spans decades of kids cartoons from the Ninja Turtles stuff in the 90s, X-Men Evolution in the aughts, even did like 65 episodes of Dennis the Menace in 86.
Oh, that's the reboot.
Yep.
The anime version. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and then
really cool.
Another one, which this was the fun part for me to talk about, was this person. We got really heavy and serious at the end of this episode here, but Steve, though, also wrote for the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm cartoon in the late 90s, which, if you have not seen it, that is a wild little treasure of TV schlock. When my friends and I watched it, we binged the show together on, this is back on Rabbit, when Rabbit was still a thing.
Wow,
and
Rabbit, I miss Rabbit.
Yeah, it was me, Paul, Rick, and Dare, and the only character we liked was the dog, who was only in 5 of the 12 episodes.
Okay, that's new info. That's new info. Yeah.
So I'm just curious about, because there's already the continuity of the Shirley's code, and my note even says that this was like a shock, like continuity, dialogue continuity, character story, like character signs like sticking around. This is kind of shocking. But I'm curious what that also then means regarding these two writers. Like, if this was a case of they were around for that, and that was a beat like that stuck out, was they worked on the most important, like they were in the room when Most Important Day Ever was getting made and was being written, and so that detail stuck out as they were putting this one together. And to what extent other people on the staff were collectively helping them out to just punch up elements of dialogue, write a scene, write a moment, even just give them the inspiration and say, what if it's Carmine that talks to Laverne? Because surely, Cindy doesn't want to do this episode. So that could be, I'm just kind of curious what the collaboration was like and where this comes from for them, given, as I said, the stuff they went on to do. Because I will say, as much as I'm harped on the Mortal Kombat series thing, X-Men Evolution was pretty good, and so was the early '90s era TMNT stuff was also pretty solid. Those had more sophisticated storytelling, and I'm just curious where that all comes from for these folks. But that is interesting. Is there any other notes for the episode itself you have? Because I got 2 more folks to cover, and then I'm good.
I do have some more notes. I actually wrote down, Laverne, you're getting end up with some guy's trunk with that logic at one point during this speech. I wanted to mention Carmine doesn't want to get his Dodgers jacket cried on. And but it was nice he still gave her a shoulder to cry on.
Yep.
Let us talk about this semi-hot tag scene.
That's, yes, Bear. Okay, I just scrolled back down. Yeah, Pookie Bear and Angel Face. Very spicy couple. Shirley is my note here.
Yeah. She's literally, they're making out line kissy face pressy bod, as Lenny would say.
Yeah.
that is an impressive change for Shirley, who used to go whenever he did that.
Exactly. Yeah, no, she is the let's just say the levees have been breached and she needs some release. Is what it seems like.
I was gonna say she needs damning. You gonna try to say?
Whoa, no. It's not a goddamn thank you. Them being interrupted by Pop is the cutest thing, especially because he's not like, it's like, hey, get over Shirley. It's like, what's the matter? You don't call me anymore. And I love he's being the proper dad. He's making the son do everything. And it's like, yes, Carmine, welcome to being a son for a dad. For a very proactive dad.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to be missed. I love, the friend. That's probably one of my favorite parts of this episode is the tag. The tag is really cute.
I'd say the tag scene and the bit about with the guy with the inflatable turtle, like those are my 2 favorite parts of this entire. Like everything else can go. I think pretty much everything else I'm willing to let. Like even Angelica Houston, love her to death, love you so much, Morticia. But I'd be totally fine with sacrificing that bit and just keeping tag scene and the inflatable turtle.
Tag scene, inflatable turtle. At least parts of that conversation, which can be redone, did not suck. No, that doesn't suck. I shouldn't correct myself. That conversation doesn't suck. I'm gonna take that back. The conversation doesn't suck. To make it more in character for Laverne. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, the extra layers to get it to where to kind of merge it with what we know versus what they're trying to do with her.
Yep. Like it's almost there. It's almost there. It just needs a little more tweaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Shirley's actually playing with Carmine's hair in that tag scene. That's
Oh my
impressive.
God, that's a jump. Oh boy.
Yeah.
She is into it. Wow.
It has come a long, long way.
So I have notes for our director today. We covered quite a bit about Jack Winter in the past, including the last episode from last week. This is his final episode for Laverne and Shirley in any capacity. But so with that, I wanted to kind of mention a couple of details about him because it seems like he had some interesting trivia to find out about. But as mentioned before, he wrote on season 2. He worked on directing episodes like To Tell the Truth and Star Peepers and things of that nature. And so we wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the trivia I was able to track down, which is apparently he was an active tennis player as a hobby recreationally and would play weekly games against Earl Monroe.
Oh, that's cool.
And reportedly he also won against Pete Sampras when Pete Sampras was only 9. So that's also very cute. He continued as a script doctor in the industry apparently for some time. At some point he was even being paid $5,000 a day for the job. So if he was punching up some really important comedies that had a lot to lose, then that's what's going to happen. Now, Jack Winter did pass away in 2006, but in Victoria, BC, Canada. I was not able to find the age, but yeah, he's no longer with us. But that's our directed by Jack Winter. Now, the final notes for today is about Jim Greenleaf, who plays Lyle Nowicki. And I feel so sorry for this guy having to be the butt of the joke. And he was very talented, for the time that he did stuff. He'd done a bunch of different voice work in the early 80s, and he did various supporting parts through the 70s. Now, Jim would continue acting for a little bit, but according to a GoFundMe that was sponsored by his children, he was in a severe car accident in 1986, where Jim was actually initially pronounced dead at the scene.
Wow.
And it took about 2 years to recover get his body back up into shape. But he was unable to really kind of return to the level of stardom that he was gaining during his youth. Because, I mean, this guy was going places. Like, he was popular enough and likable enough for some people that, it was wondered if he would continue moving up. So he kind of backed off a little bit. He ended up doing like some stand-up comedy, which you can actually find clips of him doing so on YouTube, like even as recently as like 9 years ago. And he did some character acting, and the interesting role he ended up becoming well known for in the area he has been living in is the role of Santa Claus, with him and I believe his wife actually, or at the very least an acting partner. Now his current status is unknown, but I guess in 2012 his kids raised money for him after a cut on his toe unfortunately turned gangrenous and he had to have it amputated. But it's interesting to have that this is his only other episode of the show where he's kind of a creep, because as far as I can tell, he was in person was a super lovely guy. And this characterization is really unfortunate because from what I'm noticing, like he was a really sweet dude. And so as I said, I don't know if he's still kicking around. I tried to look up if there any further information after the 2012 thing and I wasn't able to, but he seemed to be doing good at the time, and he gone to taking acting classes and was trying to build up his career. And so at least the good news is that even though it's because I was wondering why did his career stop around 85, 86 all of a sudden. So this explains the reason why that this was that's quite an accident to get into, that like the EMTs were sort of like, oh yeah, he's gone, and then eventually it was like, oh wait, yeah, he ended up
we got Paul Soups.
Exactly, yeah. So anyway, but that's it also makes this episode have a weird haunting quality to it. Even like Angelica Houston's presence in it also has a haunting quality, given her connection to the Polanski thing, which we will not detail, but yes, we are aware of that. But it's altogether this is a strange episode. As I said, I still enjoy it with the caveats. And I think we're moving into ranking time at this point, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm curious where you're going with this one.
I'm gonna have to rank this a tiny bit higher than I did Star Peepers, simply for the fact that it's not as bland. I'm gonna go with a 5.5, I think.
Yeah.
I really like at least the attempt at trying to bring this together with that speech. There's a lot of tenderness there. Eddie Mecca gets to knock this out of the park in a different kind of acting style, and Penny really does a really good job with it. I like her chemistry with Larry Breeding. I like Angelica Houston's use in the episode. I think I'm going for the 6.
Okay.
But I really, really can't go higher because of the the wild stuff, the repeated Laverne dates a married dude part of it. I just cannot go higher than that. But,
Yep. Same here.
it's not dire. It's not as dire as it could be, but it's not necessary viewing.
Yeah.
Where are you going with it?
I think I'm gonna run similar. I think I'm gonna hit at a 5.5, maybe a 6. I think I'm actually gonna say I'm gonna go with a 6 just because I felt the performances and the side characters I think give it that extra elevation for me. I think so. So I'll go a little more positive on this one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. Anyhoot, I think that covers everything for today, right?
Does indeed.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll have a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll come back and have a bit of our post-amble and talk about what's coming up next. So stick around for a second, y'all, and also please listen to the ad. That helps us support the pod.
Give us some money.
Do. All right. Thank everyone so much for listening to Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can find us at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, YouTube, or wherever great podcasts can be found.
Yes.
And yes, please come join us in the small little community that has risen around us, our wonderful supporters, our fantastic friends, the just wonderful people out there who, make this pod such a delight and have given us so much joy for these. God, by the time this episode goes up, it'll probably be about... it'll be pretty close to 3 years. And anyway, so moving on though,
I think I need to change my glasses. I can't see what's coming up next.
Laverne, Shirley, and Carmine attend their 10th year high school reunion in Milwaukee and are mystified when everyone treats them like big shot celebrities. They soon figure out that Lenny and Squiggy have told all their old friends that they've become big shot celebrities in California, leaving the girls and Carmine in an awkward spot. Will they tell the truth about their menial lifestyles on the West Coast, or will they continue to bask in the attention being lavished on them? This is whatever happened to the class of 56.
Oh, well, that's good. That's been a pressing question for the last 10 years of my life. My God.
Hey,
That's going to be great to have an answer to that.
soon you will learn everything they need to know. Bye, all, and remember, if someone cheats on you, shove them in the fish tank. Drown them. Connect them to swimming lessons. Drown them! Drown them! Bye, all.